The San Francisco 49ers made a massive statement when they signed Brandon Aiyuk to another 4 years on the contract, and I'm excited about it. Everybody's buzzing about it, and rightly so, including Brian Baldinger. On today's show, I'm going to tell you what Baldy said about BA. I'm going to tell you about the new contract details that just came out. I'm going to tell you what George Kittle was doing, going all George Kittle-y as he does on with Kay Adams. Twitter having a field day of BA appreciation posts, a very low-ranking current starter speaking out. That was an interesting one. I can't wait to talk about that, and we'll close out with the 2-minute drill. If you're new here, I'm Nate. We are talking the San Francisco 49ers every day on this channel, and it really does help me out if you would hit that subscribe button, join the party, don't miss out on all the fun, and of course, if you like the video, if you like the content, please hit the like button, because I'm told it helps the YouTube algorithm, and, you know, I'm told that that's important as well. So here's what Brian Baldinger had to say, by the way, and I'm just going to give you the short version of it because I don't want to go too wild here. But the basic idea that Baldy was talking about in this breakdown on Brandon Aiyuk is what Brandon Aiyuk does when he doesn't have the ball. Like in soccer, it's called off-the-ball movement, right? And only one guy gets the ball at a time. That's just the way that it goes. And so what is Brandon Aiyuk doing when he's out there? Well, despite the narrative that has developed over the summer of how much of a diva Brandon Aiyuk is. And you know what? There are completely fair arguments for him being a diva in terms of off-field, some of the business stuff. But it's business, right? So I'm going to put that aside for a second and say what we care about is what happens on the field, okay? And if they can win games, we're going to be fine with what happens off the field most of the time, as long as it's ethically sound. So what he does on the field, right, has been very unselfish for several years. And you got to give him credit for that because he goes out there and he blocks like his life depends on. He goes out there, he and Juwan Jennings, right? If the ball's not going their way, there are two absolute monsters when they're both on the field at the same time. Two absolute monsters that are out there making every defensive back and linebacker feel their presence. They're out there doing it, and I absolutely love that about them. We respect that about them, and this is something that the national media does not spend enough time talking about. They're always talking about the data, the stats. Those are good stats. We're going to talk about them too, but there's more to life than just how many times Brandon Aiyuk catches the football because he is a very valuable person to this football team, and I'm stoked that he is here. I'm stoked that we locked him down. Hey, I got a question for you. I want to break more of this Brandon Aiyuk stuff down. I want to talk about this situation with the starting player who's just not highly rated, and we got to talk about it. This is an interesting spot. We got to talk about George Kittle on Up and Adams. Like there's some fun stuff here I want to break down. Okay, but who has the bigger advantage? And no, I'm not talking about rosters. Monday Night Football, 10 days away right now. New York Jets. Who has the bigger advantage on the coaching staff? Just think about it for a second, because I'm going to tell you. I'm going to be honest with you. As a fan of a team, and this goes across every single sport that I watch, whenever there's a big game coming up and I'm looking at the other side, I'm shaking in my boots over them. I'm just being honest with you. I tend toward fear because I don't want to be hurt again. I don't want to see my team lose again. And you know that feeling, right? You've been there. I don't think I'm the only one, right? I'm not going into every single thing, every single game with like complete blind confidence, like, oh yeah, this is all going to be so easy. Like I'm going into games and I'm kind of nervous. The score's 0-0, okay? Things can happen. Guys can get injured, knock on wood, right? So no, I have no sense of nervousness about the actual players on the field. I think pound for pound, 49ers are way better than the New York Jets in so many areas, okay? There are a couple of areas that they're better than us, pound for pound. But we are a better football team, okay? Robert Saleh, there's something in my head, having not been a coach on an NFL team, that in my head I'm like, oh, he knows all of our secrets. And I can't shake that idea out of my head. And Kay Adams asked a question to George Kittle. We're going to listen to his answer in a little bit here. And the question she asked was framed the opposite way. What advantage do you have knowing Robert Saleh? I thought, holy smokes. I have never thought about it that way. Like, are the Jets fans, I don't know. Jets fans are a weird bunch. But are the Jets fans over there, when they're shaking in their boots and they're feeling kind of nervous, are they like, oh, man, they know Saleh, though. I mean, they know what he thinks. They know what kind of weird ideas he's had. They know what risks he takes. Right? Are they thinking that? I don't know. I have no idea. But when I'm feeling nervous, I'm not always feeling nervous. When I am feeling nervous, I start to think that to myself. And now I'm like, no, let's flip it. So I'm going to ask you the question, who is the bigger advantage? Is the bigger advantage the guy on the side where he knows a bunch of stuff about the way we run our football team? He knows all the guys. He knows people who work inside the building and yada, yada, yada. Or is the bigger advantage for the team that knows the guy they created, helped develop across the field? Let me know what you think. All right, moving on to the next one. Let's see here. Let's continue to break down this Brandon Aiyuk stuff because we do have contract details that were leaked out as well. So these are the contract details, supposedly. The signing bonus for the first year being $23 million. Optional bonus in 2025 being 22.9. I think that's the one that has to be done by April, if I remember correctly, by April 1st. I could be wrong on that. I'm going to have to think back on that. But whatever the case is, the thing that's important that I want to be looking at here is the cap hit. We're now seeing, and I heard a rumor about this yesterday, and now I'm hearing it again, that there is an $8 million savings in cap space for 2024 with this Brandon Aiyuk deal. So that's the 49ers, again, doing business the right way. John Lynch out there doing his job, making sure, and you know, you got to give all the other guys, the financial guys and stuff, their credit due, of course, okay? Probably that's use. But whatever the case is, I'm excited here that the 49ers are making sure that they're getting something out of this deal in addition to the player, right? And I'm not going to go any deeper on the Brandon Aiyuk drama side because I almost did and I felt it in my gut, and then I was like, that's a bad idea. I'm not going to do that. But guys, listen, this is awesome, guys. This is one of those appreciation posts, by the way. I'm just gonna let it be here for a second. I'm just gonna let this sit on the screen while I talk a little bit here about Brandon Aiyuk, and you can just enjoy it, all right? Because it's something worth enjoying, okay? But while this is going on, let me just be clear, okay? The cast is loaded now. You got CMC, you got Juice, you got George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, third and Juwan, and now Brandon Aiyuk. Last year, the second team All-Pro played on a team that threw the ball least in the NFL, and he converted his limited targets, 75 receptions, into 1,342 yards and 7 TDs. He was 31st. Brandon Aiyuk was 31st in receptions, but 7th in yards, making him first place in 2023 at yards per target. In 2023, Brandon Aiyuk converted 60.4% of his targets into first downs or touchdowns. Next best receiver was 52%. He's a prolific blocker. He doesn't let any of his diva antics onto the field. He doesn't complain when you don't throw him the ball. He doesn't throw his hands up on run plays. This guy is a legend, and no, he's not perfect. And yes, you can be frustrated about certain aspects of how things were handled this summer, but my goodness, you should be excited when it really matters when we see him on the football field. And I'm excited for it. All right. Well, let's move on. Kay Adams, this is really pretty fascinating here. Kay Adams was interviewing George Kittle, and this is great. So the first question was just kind of, what does George Kittle think about facing old defensive coordinator Robert Saleh? Here's what he had to say.
What is the one thing about how well you know Saleh that's going to help you in this matchup?
Well, going against him for several years in practice all the time, and like occasionally like swinging by his office just to bug him. I enjoy bugging the defensive coordinators just from time to time. You just know that he's going to go out there and he's going to be he's going to put our offense in bad situations is what he's going to try to do. You know, when it's crazy because it's like playing our own defense, right? Like you have the wide nines, the penetrating defensive line. They have really talented linebackers, a very elite secondary. So they're going to do everything that they can to apply a bunch of pressure to us and let their D-line work. And then their D-line's going to open it up for their linebackers and DBs to make as many plays as possible. So I know they're going to put a lot of pressure on us, try to get us in a lot of, unmanageable downs, and then make us beat ourselves. So that's what it feels like they're going to do. And I've watched a little bit of tape, but that's what the next several days are for, is prepping for this one.
Does it help in any way? He brings it up. It's like playing your own defense. Does it help in any way that you feel like you're playing your own defense? It's got to somewhat, right? Different guys, for sure. And that's a factor. But in terms of schemes, does it help? I feel like it helps. I feel like this is a positive. He said it like, not as a downer, but he said it like a real challenge he's got to face. But in some ways, I feel like there's an advantage there. Just my take. Just my opinion. And if you're taking the advantage, again, back to this question, which advantage do you want? Would you rather be the team that's playing a defense you're familiar with, or be the team that is the defense playing against an offense you're not familiar with? They have not been going up against this many weapons in practice whatsoever and in training camp. All right, the next question that Kay Adams asked that I just have to throw out there, and maybe I should have done this one first, but this is just his take on the Brandon Aiyuk situation. And I just promise this is going to feel very relatable.
Is over. The Yak Bros officially on for the 2024 season. Who is I want to know. You hear the news finally. How do you find out the news?
I found out on Twitter, just like everybody else.
Yep.
And then what did you think? Was it? I want to guess. I feel like it was like underwhelming, right? It's just been going on too long.
I'm just happy that it's over, and I get Brandon Aiyuk back on the football field, and I get to see his smiling face every single day in the locker room. That's what I'm looking forward to, because he's such a good dude. I'm looking forward to just starting this journey again with him. So let's get that boy. Let's get him out there catching football passes from Mr. Purdy.
Did you text him? Have you talked to him yet?
Love that response, because it's how we all felt. I'm just glad it's over. And don't get me wrong, there's also a lot of excitement around him being on the team, around it being a done deal. Like, there's positive energy out there. It's exciting, but man, it's also, there is definitely a feeling, and there was a moment, and there were many moments leading up to it where it was just waiting for it to be done. You just wanted it to be done. So I definitely feel that, and it's interesting to hear George Kittle say it himself. Last question of George Kittle on Kay Adams that I thought was really interesting here was about Trent Williams and the holdout with Trent Williams. Listen to what he had to say here.
Show up the day of Monday Night Football? Like, does he show up the day you play the Jets or before? What are your guesses?
If he pulled up to the day of the game, like ready to play, and just like it pulled up in a Rolls Royce, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. You go, Trent. Do you, man.
Don't you think he'll do that? I hope he does that.
That'd be awesome. Or he just rolls up with a Brinks truck. Who knows?
All right, that's all fun and games, but the question that comes out of that for me is, how soon does that Trent Williams deal need to happen before he's not showing up Monday Night Football and getting to play? That's not going to happen. 49ers have played games without him, did 3 times last season. No, we don't like it. No, we don't want it, but he's not signing a deal on Sunday night and walking in on Monday and playing, I don't think. But where's that line, right, for you? Where is it? Let me know in the comments. Where do you think that line is if he signs this weekend, over Labor Day weekend or something like that, and he goes in there and he's practicing Tuesday, I think he's playing Monday night. Personally, that's my opinion. But that line for me is probably like Wednesday, Thursday. I don't think he's playing past like even Wednesday. Even if he signs Wednesday, I think it's too late at that point. I think for him to play Monday Night Football, it's got to happen now. It's got to happen this like next couple days, or there's no way. I don't think, personally. Let me know what you think, though. All right, I'm looking forward to it. He's kind of, George Kittle has called him the best football player in the world. So, I don't know. Let's talk about a guy who's not considered the best football player in the world. The guy who's the current starter in that position, Jaylon Moore. So this is pretty fascinating here. He's a struggling starter, of course, and no offense, to Jaylon Moore, but nobody is hoping that he's starting left tackle under the lights on Monday Night Football against the New York Jets. Agreed? None of us are hoping that that's the case. That doesn't mean, however, that he is not massively important to this football team for a lot of reasons. And he will start a couple of games this season, almost assuredly. Somebody's going to get injured. He's in there. He is covered for Colton McKivitz. He is covered for Trent Williams. Accidents happen. Injuries happen. Guys get sore. There's going to be a lot of short weeks this season. So, I can see a world in which he's going to be important to this football team. And we're not going to act like he's not. All right. But Kyle Shanahan has said it's imperative that until the guys are on the field, he has to plan without them, which means he's planning with Jaylon Moore being the starting left tackle of the San Francisco 49ers against the New York Jets. And so you have two realities, right? Let me read you what Jaylon said, okay? This is interesting. So Moore has gained valuable practice time this summer going up against a defense that is similar to what the 49ers will face in week 1 against the Jets. That's a good point. Former 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh is the head coach of the Jets. It's been very beneficial, I think, Moore said, consistently getting reps against the ones, practicing against those guys every day. Just finding a rhythm makes it a little bit better. I'm building the camaraderie with number 1 O-line and just being a little more fluent. Moore has probably received more quality practice time than a lot of other backup offensive linemen in the NFL over the past several seasons. 100%. And I don't know if this is what they're trying to say, but I would go as far to say he's getting more practice time against the ones right now in this one portion of the season than what most backup guys get in over several seasons. I think that's the point he was trying to make. I just put my head down and keep working to get better every day. And of course, being behind the best left tackle of all time, just learning from him every day has been my calling card. I'm just trying to get as much from him while he's here. I love this take. And the thing that's interesting about wide receivers, about offensive linemen, right? The thing that I find really interesting about offensive linemen is you have two realities, right? You have the individual skill reality, right? The individual skill reality is like, Trent Williams is a better individual player than Jaylon Moore. He just is. No matter how good the rest of the offensive line is, Trent Williams will always be a better left tackle than Jaylon Moore. Just this is the way it is. And no matter how good the unit group is, the individual talent is king there, okay? But the other thing that we know about the offensive line is you don't always get those individual talents. And when you don't always have them, you know that the next best thing is a team, is a line that is as a unit group very well comfortable with one another and unified and well practiced together. It's important for them to function as a unit. So, and he's bringing that up, right? I mean, this is what Jaylon Moore is saying. That's what he's working on. He's growing with the ones. And I think this is something that we are all kind of hoping is a non-factor, but something we have to be honest about and talk about, because Trent Williams might not be ready game 1. He might not be ready game 2. He's willing to retire, the guy says. So supposedly, people say that he says. So as far as I'm concerned, no, Jaylon Moore is not your starting left tackle. If Trent Williams doesn't work out, the 49ers are going to go out there and they're going to try and find somebody else. And Jaylon Moore is going to be your starting left tackle for a little while. I don't know that he's going to be all season long, but he's going to take advantage of every single one of these reps, and good on him for doing that. I'm also not going to hate on the guy because he's the guy who's showing up every day and he's trying to put it in for the 49ers. He's trying to take advantage of this opportunity. We need to recognize the reality that he's going to be playing games. Somehow, some way, it just seems impossible to me that he's not going to be starting some games this season. So with that being said, what you want from your backup is for them to get more experience than any other backup in the league is getting, and we'll take that for now. That is something that we're absolutely getting out of him. I think that's a good thing. All right, let's move on to the 2-minute drill real quick before we're done here. 2-minute drill. With Trent Williams in the fold, the 49ers would have 10 of 11 Super Bowl starters back from an offense that scored the second most points in franchise history. Only change being John Feliciano out for Dominic Puni. That's crazy, right? That's a good sign. That's a good sign. And I'm not sure that I definitely did not think we were going to have that going into this season after the Super Bowl loss last year. Per NFL Communications, 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy needs a passer rating of 100+ in one of his first 4 starts to become the 6th quarterback in NFL history with 15 such games within his first 25 career starts. Purdy has a passer rating of 100+ in 14 of his 21 career starts. He just needs one really good game, and he becomes that guy. Pretty cool. 49ers have secured the presence of Brandon Aiyuk to go along with Deebo Samuel. Both are outliers here. The wide receiver core has also added Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall. San Francisco 49ers offense was already rated number 1 last season, and you can see here average yards after catch over expected and success rate of wide receivers. And you can see these guys way out there on that outlier of this chart, which is pretty awesome. Ultimately, it feels like both sides played out their leverage and won portions of this deal. A lot of people asking the question, who won the deal? Is it Brandon Aiyuk or the 49ers? Well, Brandon Aiyuk used his leverage, held in, made things uncomfortable, and got $30 million APY. 49ers got a market value deal for an ascending 26-year-old wide receiver who should improve. And the question I would ask you is, do you feel like that's true? I do think the 49ers got some win here, but do you feel like this statement is true? Is that the win for the 49ers? And is it market value? Or is it above market value? I don't know. I'd be interested in that. I'll be honest with you. I don't really want to go there because I just want to be happy for a few days that this deal's done. I want Trent Williams on this team and we can move on, but that's cool. Last thing, this is like one of my favorite things I saw all day today. And it's both. It's two things in one, all right? It's John Lynch dapping up Brandon Aiyuk. But it's something else too. John Lynch, classy John over here.
Sleep well last night?
Hell yeah.
Really? How you doing, buddy? You happy? Yeah? You having a good day? Proud of you, Daddy? Yeah. Give me some.
I mean, that's cool, right? That gives me the feel-goods. As a father, that gives me the feel-goods. Makes me feel awesome. That's awesome. Way to go, John Lynch. Congratulations on getting the deal done. Congratulations to Brandon Aiyuk for getting money, for life-changing money for the rest of your life and for your family. You know, all the benefits there. So that's great. Good for him. Good for both of them. And good for all the fans because we get to watch a very, very good football player out on the field in red and gold. And he'll be ready for Monday Night Football. He may not be 100%, but he'll be ready for Monday Night Football, and we're going to need him. We're going to love having him out there as a weapon. Brock Purdy, for sure, the happiest person in all of the 49ers facilities over down in Santa Clara. Absolutely the happiest person there that Brandon Aiyuk has signed the extension. Let me know what you think in the comments. Look forward to it. As always, what a time to be alive.